Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Pickles and Vodka, the unfiltered mental health podcast dedicated to the things nobody wants to talk about in real life. I'm your host, Christina, and I was just thinking about how 1 year ago today I was putting together the first episode of this podcast, or at least I was starting to order equipment and put together a list of guests, and I remember being super nervous, like I didn't think anyone in their right minds would ever listen to it. It was just something that I really wanted to do for myself because I had spent so long going through a difficult time and having all these negative thoughts and emotions bouncing around inside my head with nowhere to go. Like I couldn't talk to anybody in real life about them. And so the obvious solution was to start a podcast and tell virtual strangers. So, it's been almost a year, and that's kind of crazy to think about. It's the first Monday of November, which I have mixed feelings about, but mostly excitement. November and December are going to be big months for me because I just got approved for my very first apartment in my adult life. I'm 27 and I've never lived alone. That's something I'm kind of embarrassed to admit, even though I know that it's not as rare as it used to be. I have a bunch of friends who live with roommates or live with their parents, and it's not uncommon, but living alone is something I've always wanted to do, and it's finally happening. So I'm super excited. I'm moving into a studio apartment a little bit closer to my work. So yeah, send me all your tips for living alone because I know, this is probably going to be another episode in the future, but I know living alone comes with its own set of challenges on a mental health level. Like on one hand, it's nice to have your own place, but on the other, you're completely isolated. And for those who have a tendency to isolate like me, that can be rough. So I'm a little nervous about that. And like I said, I kind of want to do an episode about it in the future, but I'm really excited about today's episode. Just as a disclaimer, we do talk about suicide and self-harm in detail, and so if that's the kind of thing that triggers you, you might want to proceed with caution. But yeah, it's a great episode. Thank you so much to everybody who reached out about being guests. I have a full schedule the next few weeks, interviewing you lovely people, and it's going to be a great rest of the year for this little podcast. As always, if you want to be a guest on the show or you have something on your chest you want to talk about, you have a question, or even if you just have a meme, like I can't believe I haven't said this already, but if you have a mental health meme, please send it to me. Like I post them to the Instagram and I have a whole folder on my phone for them. And I send them to friends when they're going through a hard time. I ask for them when I'm going through a hard time. And it's my love language. So yeah, send them to picklesandvodkapodcast@gmail.com. With that said, I'm just going to jump straight into the interview with Kelly. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday. Hello.
Hi.
I'm glad we finally got to do this. This is our third try.
Yes. I'm sorry, I just haven't been feeling very well.
No, it's that time of year. And then like the whole time zone thing fucked me up. I still don't really have a handle on time zones.
I know. I was like, oh shit, 3 o'clock your time. I wasn't even like thinking.
My brother has this app called like Time Buddy. And if you have friends in different time zones, it like tells you what time it is for them and you. I meant to download it, but that's too much work.
Yeah, I have enough. My phone always tells me I don't have any space and I have like 4 apps. So it's an iPhone 7. Like it's not that old, but I guess the technology is dying. I don't like to buy the new one until like the old one is completely crapped out because they pump out new ones so frequently. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just wait till like I absolutely have to buy the new one.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, thank you so much for doing this. I know you're super busy with life and everything, and I'm just honestly excited to catch up with you because I feel like we haven't talked in forever. You visited me in Seattle. When was that? The spring?
Yeah, I think it like May or June or something. Yeah.
Yeah, you were
'Cause
wearing a super cute jumpsuit with flowers on it.
Yes, thank you. I do love that jumpsuit.
How long have we known each other?
Let's see.
What time did
I
you
think
start at the store? Because we were both working at the same coffee shop. That was,
yeah, 2015. I think
I
2000 is it 2016? Is that when I moved to Austin?
I think so. Oh wow, so only 3 years. So much has happened in 3 years. It's crazy.
I know. Wait, it feels like a lot longer than that.
Yeah, I remember like that was right before I left the store, but you transferred in and I thought you were so cool.
Yeah, you were my first friend in Austin.
What was that place I took you to? Yellow Jacket. We went
Yellow Jacket.
we went to
Yeah.
Yellow Jacket and we got a cheese plate and it was great.
It was amazing. Yeah, by the tracks.
So how are you doing these days? Or do you want to start by like introducing yourself to the listeners?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name's Kelly. I am currently living in Ohio and it's cold as fuck, but I don't know. I am 28 and I don't know what else am I supposed to say.
What's your background with mental health? Because you got a lot going on there.
Oh gosh, yeah. Okay. Well, 5 years ago, I was hospitalized for a planned suicide. I was diagnosed bipolar disorder and anxiety disorder. So I've been treated for that since then. And actually, about a month or 2 months ago, my doctor told me that I was misdiagnosed.
Oh
So
shit.
I actually have depression and anxiety disorder, not bipolar disorder. So I've been mismedicated and over medicated for the last 5 years. So that was a little bit of a shock. So the last round of medicines that I was on, she was just like appalled by what I was on. I was taking too much, and one was like amplifying another one, and they were both anti-seizure medicines. And she was like, "You don't have seizures. Why are you on this?" One of them, she said that they don't give it to patients who are under 40, so she couldn't believe I was on it. So it's just a bit of a shock.
Yeah, no kidding. And you've been on that for 5 years?
One of them I've been on for 5 years. The other one I'd only been on for like about a year. I'd been on and off at least like 10 or 15 different medicines or different like strengths of medicines.
And this all started 5 years ago with the suicide attempt. Like before then, have you been diagnosed with anything or
Yeah. The first time that I remember feeling super depressed, and actually the first time that I hurt myself, I was 13, and I wasn't hospitalized until I was 23. So
Oh, that's 10
I was dealing
years.
with a lot of stuff, yeah, for 10 years that I just basically was telling myself, like, everyone else can handle it, everyone else can do it. Why can't I do it? I'm just not good enough, you know?
Hmm.
And I actually went about like 7 years or so without crying ever. So that was like I was just like so, like just dissociating that I just wouldn't allow myself to feel anything because of just how bad I felt all the time. So.
Did you feel like you had to put like a strong face on, or were you worried about judgment?
I felt like I had to be strong, like for my family. I've kind of assumed the role of the caretaker, not so much anymore. Ever since my hospitalization, the family dynamic has changed a little bit because things have come out into the open and we've had real conversations. But I used to be the caretaker pretty much of everybody. So I felt like I didn't really have an option to be sick.
Yeah. I can relate to
So,
that so much because I'm the oldest of seven, and it was kind of the same with me. I'd been struggling with these things super quietly and until it all just blew up in everyone's faces. Because like
yeah,
when you're taking care of
exactly.
you're like an example, you can't be sick. Like you have too many people looking at you and depending on you.
Yeah, I mean, my whole family struggles with different forms of mental illness, so it's just kind of been like our burden. My sister's the only one who's not diagnosed with anything, and she's the black sheep of the family, we say.
Is this a sister that you're hanging out with now? How many siblings do you
Yeah,
have?
she just left. I just have the one younger sister, and she just left again. Actually, she lives in Seattle, and so she just
Oh
left.
my
She's coming
God.
home or going.
What was it like growing up for you? Like you said, a lot of your family members had mental health issues. Was that talked about often, or kind of swept under the rug?
I guess I kind of knew because it was kind of talked about. It wasn't, I guess like I knew that they had it, but it was still like I wasn't going to admit it to myself sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um, and so when I was younger, my parents fought a lot. And so it was kind of my job as the oldest to kind of be the caretaker and be the strong one and, help my sister and all that. So I guess I knew about it. I knew that things had happened, but it didn't really like change anything, didn't really change
Mm-hmm.
my perception of things, which, they do say like if you keep that open dialogue, that's better. But I was aware of it, but I still would never have admitted it to myself that I was sick. And even in college, I started seeing a therapist, but I refused to have any medicine because I was like, I'm not that sick. I just am going through something. I just need to get through it. And it wasn't until, the planned suicide that I finally like realized like, okay, I'm ready to get medicine. I'm ready to get help. It's kind of interesting. I remember on that day, I was just sitting in the bathtub and I was just kind of ready to end it all. And my mom came home unexpectedly early. And then my dad came home unexpectedly early. And so we went to the hospital and it was just sort of like, it felt like fate, that
Yeah.
they like heard a cry, that they both just decided to come home because I was living with them at the time.
Okay.
Um, so I was very fortunate that the kind of the universe heard me and it was like, it's time to get help. And that was in December of 2014. Yeah, so it's almost 5 years, like exactly.
Wow. So, what kind of stuff led up to the suicide attempt or the planned suicide?
I mean, I had been depressed for a while, but then I decided to take a job back in Ohio. So I was living in Michigan and I moved back from Michigan and I got this job because I just thought that's what you're supposed to do. Like I had an internship and then I got a job. So I moved back and I got the job.
What did you go to school for?
I went to school for advertising and public relations and I ended up being a graphic designer through all of that. So I had a PR and graphic design internship, and then I got a job as a graphic designer at a marketing and communications place. I don't remember, agency, at an agency. And I was there first one in, and I was like the last one out. There was like no management at this place. Like it basically just made me feel like complete and total shit. Like they had a meeting about me in a conference room next to me, talking about how I wasn't prepared for this, but like didn't include me. They're just talking about me, and I had my headphones in, but there was like no music playing at the time, and like I could hear them.
What the
So it
fuck?
was really strange. Just like, yeah, it was horrible. And so I lasted there like about 4 months and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm dying, working like 60 hours a week and like absolutely no help, like no training, no nothing.
Yeah.
And after that, I really lost myself because I felt like I failed and I wasn't that type of person. I was, like I couldn't fail. Like that's not me. So I ended up just working some part-time jobs and I traveled a lot and that was really fun, but it wasn't like curing anything for me. And then I was like living in this house with two other people, and they weren't the best roommates. Like definitely better friends than we were roommates. So it was just really a hard time for me. And then I started seeing this guy, and he was starting. I like was noticing like these very like abusive patterns, not physical, but like emotional, like this
Mm-hmm.
and verbal, like what he would say to me, and I just like couldn't stand up for myself. And so then I basically was like, okay, I've had enough. Like I'm so sad. I can't do anything about it. I don't even cry. I don't know what to do anymore. And that's when I was just like, I'm done. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I remember like sitting there and I was just screaming into the abyss, just saying like,
Hmm.
I'm done, I'm ready. This isn't gonna happen. I'm not doing this anymore. And then yeah, my parents came home and they found me, um, and then they took me to the hospital.
And how long were you in the hospital?
So I did inpatient for a week, and then I had to do intensive outpatient for, I want to say, a month. And that involved going in for like 6 hours a day, but you could go home afterwards or home for lunch or something. And then I had to do a different kind of inpatient, which was 3 hours a day, 3 times a week. And that lasted, I think, about 2 weeks. And so the last one that I was in actually was for people with addiction, but I hadn't really struggled with that up until that point. I've struggled with it since, but it was very interesting and eye-opening, and I met some interesting people.
Why were you
um,
placed in that group?
I'm not sure. I think it had to do with my diagnoses being bipolar. I think they thought, I don't know. I talked to like the woman who was in charge of it, and I was like, I don't have an addiction problem. I'm not sure why I'm in this group. And she's like, well, you can feel free to stay or you can go. And I just stayed because like there was still a lot of camaraderie and a lot of the problems overlap. I know that
Yeah.
when people do like AA and NA and stuff, they don't really address mental illness, but it's all related. And so I stayed there for a few days, and I was like, I feel very close to these people and hearing their stories. So I just stayed, and we kind of finished it out that way.
I've always felt like I connect more with addicts than anyone else. I mean, I consider myself an addict, but I don't know. There's just something about that level of vulnerability, just being completely powerless to your addiction.
Yeah.
And it builds community.
Yeah, I struggled with addiction when I moved to Austin, and then my whole life I struggled with like anorexia and bulimia in phases. It never got bad enough that I had to be hospitalized or anything, thank goodness. But growing up as a dancer and not looking like a dancer definitely put a lot of pressure on me, and so I've had struggled with like body dysmorphia, and in some ways, that's an addiction, I believe. You get
Totally.
addicted to not eating and you get addicted to throwing up, or sometimes for me, for a while, it was over excessively exercising. That was actually the year that before I went into the hospital, I was exercising for like a couple hours every day, 2 or 3 hours every night. And like I just wasn't eating, and so that was, I think, another thing too. I just was like trying to feel something and working out just excessively, just trying to keep my mind occupied and off of how just lonely I was, I think. So, but yeah, I'm on a new regimen, and the medicine's supposed to help with the bulimia and the depression and my anxiety. And so far, I think it's been going pretty well. It's been, yeah, 2 months, but I like my new doctor. And so she's been helping me with this. But I'm not seeing a therapist, but I definitely think I should. It's just about finding the time and the right person because it's so stressful
Oh my
finding a
God.
therapist.
Tell me about it. And then there's like, weren't you having problems with your insurance or something like that?
I'm always having problems with my insurance. I have no idea. I don't understand. Like, I swear, every time I go to get a new prescription, I'm there for like an hour while they like try and contact my insurance because they can't figure it out or whatever, and all this. It's always such a mess. Like I went to get a flu shot and they were like, your insurance isn't working. I was like, for fuck's sake, like it's a flu shot. I don't. So
Yeah,
yeah, I know.
that's ridiculous.
So it's like I feel like I already have so many issues with it that it's like I have to mentally prepare myself to like be ready to find a new doctor. And then like, if you don't like the first one you get, then you have to you like, you're shopping for doctors.
I hate to think of it like that, but it's so true. Like you are shopping for doctors, and it's not personal if someone's not working for you, and you don't want to waste your time, because you don't want to waste their time either.
Yeah, I had a therapist in Austin who I felt like, now it could be me being paranoid, but I swear she was like getting bored of me. And like when I would tell her things, she just was like tapped out. And I was like, are you even paying attention to me right now? Are you listening to me? Like, do you wish I had different problems or something? Like I was like,
Yep.
yeah, I'm not coming back.
I've had that happen too. It's really hard. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's just constantly trying to find someone. And I respect you a lot for doing that.
Yeah, I still have to. Thank God I finally found a psychiatrist that I like. Actually, I'm going back to my general doctor that I went to when I lived here before. So he's known me forever, which is really great because for a while when I couldn't find a psychiatrist, he was helping me with my prescriptions. Like he couldn't prescribe me anything new, but he was there and supporting me. And I went in, with a cold one time or something, and he was like, "How have you been doing mentally? Like, are you doing okay? How's the depression?" So like he really cares for me and is so that's really good too, just to have these nice doctors in your life. So it's so important. It's so important, and I don't think people realize how important that is.
Have you discovered any resources over your years of trial and error? Like, how did you get connected to this particular doctor? Was it just luck, or? I
had to call my insurance company and look somebody up to get the psychiatrist. I looked up the website and everything, and I liked the company, and it was close to my house, and so that kind of lucked out. But yeah, I've always just had to go through my insurance. It was ridiculous. I went through my doctor. He recommended someone, but they don't take insurance, and it was going to be like $350 for the first appointment, and then like $200 for each follow-up. I was like, who has that kind of money?
Yeah, what? No one our age.
Yeah, no, especially, not me, especially when I've been dealing with like all of this for the last 5 years. I mean, I've always had a job, but I've not had this is my first salary job that I'm working right now. It's the first time I've ever not been working 2 jobs. I think I've worked at least 2 jobs. It's for as long as I can remember. So,
yeah.
It doesn't pay the bills to be sick, let me tell you.
So how's that going for you now, working the one job? How's that going for your mental health?
Oh, it's really good. I really like this place. It's got a family community atmosphere. I've known these people forever. They wanted me to come back and help them with stuff, and I was kind of finally ready to move back because I'm back home now, and I really like it. I feel like I have a good rapport with everyone, and I just have a lot of freedom to do what I need to do. I'm not only doing graphic design, but so I work at a dance center, and so I'm teaching dance too. And so it's good. It's good. It's good stuff. I really am a lot happier. I'm not paid super well, but
You're happy.
I'm happy. Yeah.
That's so important.
It's hard to put that because I'm not trying to be oh, I'm not paid enough. I'm paid very fairly, and I'm paid for what I do, but I'm just not in a very high paying field, dance instructors. You don't make a whole lot of money.
I mean, I think it's more important to not hate your job. Because, you've obviously been in a job where, they talked about you behind your back and they drove you to suicide, literally.
Yeah, I remember one day I had a panic attack, a full blown. I couldn't breathe. I had pins and needles running through my arms. I crawled under the floor. The cleaning lady found me and she was like, "Are you okay?" It was 9:00 at night. It was awful. And then the next day, this girl that I was working with was like, "That was really unprofessional of you to say that you were sick." And I was like, oh my God, I don't know. I don't know what to do with you people.
Oh my God, do they have no empathy or understanding?
I have no idea. But we were working on something and I was like, I think I'm going to throw up. I can't, I'm sorry. We'll have to pick this up in the morning. And then, then the next day I got a huge long email about how unprofessional that was. And I was like, I was literally having a nervous breakdown and I'm being reprimanded for being sick. It was unreal. This place was just I don't know. I just was not prepared for it. And like the people there were really cool, actually. So the one guy that I worked with, he worked like two cubicles down from me. He started working at the airport and he called me up about like 2 years, a year later, I think. And he was like, "Hey, I know you're a great designer. I need a freelance designer. Do you want to join me?" And I was like, "Heck yeah." So some good came out of it, you know. Then I worked as a freelance designer for 2 years and I got to work with him and he was great. He was so understanding and really helped me out a lot. So that was, I guess, something came out of it. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anything is a complete waste. Like, at least you can't look at life like that. You have to just accept that some things are going to suck, but you take what you can and then move on.
yeah, exactly. I definitely have learned a lot over these last few years. I've grown a lot, definitely matured. I like consider myself a very late bloomer and but I definitely have regrets. So that's not, I mean, I'm not going to say that, but you
Yeah.
definitely learn from stuff. Like I people are like no regrets. I well,
Yeah.
I have a few.
I think it's interesting. With our generation, I see a very common theme of people being late bloomers, like you said. I mean, there's the whole economical culture right now, and like the world's kind of fucked up, and we're having to deal with it. And I think there's a lot of, like, we're not set up for success, but at the same time, there's a lot of pressure to succeed at the same rate that our parents did.
Right.
I mean, I don't want it to be like a cop out, like, it's your fault. Everything sucks and it's your fault. But, like, a lot of us do deal with this stuff really badly.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm very, very fortunate to have a very supportive family and we are living in a time now when, I mean, we can talk about this kind of stuff. Hell, like you have a podcast based on this, like, you know, what 20 years ago or something, people didn't really talk like this about it. So
Yeah.
it's it's very, you know, very blessed, but I mean, it's still I've been reminded by people how taboo it is because I've found people in my life who really very much understand and who go through similar things, but then I've met people who don't understand it at all and they make you feel really shitty about what you're going through because they just don't understand and I've been made to feel crazy. And I know I'm certified. I am, but I'm
Reclaim
like,
crazy.
I know, like, but like, I'm not crazy. Like, these are real things that are happening. And that was something I struggled with a long time too, was that idea that everyone else is fine. Like, why can't I do it? I must just be like, it's just me.
Well, everyone's faking it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
And
like literally everyone is going through stuff, no matter how put together they seem. But no one talks about it. Like even in today's enlightened age, like people still fake it all the time. I mean, so look at social media, for instance. I know that's a huge trigger for some people.
yeah, when I was finally hospitalized, my family was just in shock. They were just like, we had no idea how sick you were or how, that you felt this way. So as I hit it, like I said, I didn't cry.
Yeah.
I remember having a couple of breakdowns, I think, but like for the most part, like, and now I cry all the time. Like there's this commercial out with this hedgehog and it's so sweet. I wish I could remember what it's. So this like cartoon hedgehog, and I cried the whole time. I watched it for like a half hour on repeat and just like sobbed. And I'm very
Oh,
grateful that I can cry now because
yeah. I
I know
mean,
it seems like really silly, but I'm very happy that I can cry now because it really is therapeutic to be able to. But I got myself so locked up because everything hurt so badly that it was like if a little thing would send me spiraling. And I didn't want to feel anything because nothing felt better than the potential of feeling so low. And I mean, I still have my days and like a couple weekends ago, it was bad. I couldn't get out of bed. I was exhausted. I wasn't feeling good, like physically too. And you just kind of have to remind yourself that it'll pass, but there'll just be times when I just I can't get up off the floor, and I just think I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I can't do
Yeah.
this. Like I just can't be this sick anymore. And it does. It passes, and it passes a lot more quickly than it used to, but it's a lifelong battle. And I used
Yeah.
to say it was terminal. It can be.
It can be for
It
sure.
can.
It's an illness. I mean, you just said it, like it affects you physically too. Not that that's the only indicator of sickness, but people don't realize that it's legitimate. Like I've noticed lately a trend among myself and my friends, like maybe it's something maybe it's this time of year, I don't know, everyone I know is fucking depressed right now. Like they'll cancel plans, or like, I mean, I did it the other day. I canceled plans because I was just so low. I made up some shitty excuse, but like I just think, why do we have to do that? Why can't we just say, oh, I'm feeling really low, I can't meet up with you?
Yeah, like you feel like you have to make up an excuse other than just being like, I'm so depressed right now. I can't make it out.
I think it
And that would probably make us feel better because then we could be honest about it. Like I was talking to my friend and I told him, I was like, can I be honest with you? And he was like, yeah, of course. I was like, I'm so depressed right now and I don't know what to do. And he was like, yeah, there's really, there's people will say stuff and it might not help it, but this will pass. And he said the only thing that you should really do is get out of the house and get into the sun.
hmm.
And it's true. And I did. I went out and I took my dog on a walk, and it helps. You don't have to do anything. You just have to get out of the house. But it's so gray this time of year, like you're saying, that people are depressed, and it's true.
Well, yeah, in
We need this.
Seattle especially. A lot of
Yeah.
people
Oh my
here,
God.
a
I know
lot
you
of people
posted.
here have like lamps that they put inside their houses for like depression.
Yep. I have
Or
happy
what?
lamp. Yep.
You have
I
one?
have the happy lamp.
Does it
Yep.
work?
Yeah. I keep it in my office. I don't know if it makes a difference or not, but my mom got it for me, so I keep it in here because my office doesn't have any windows. So I leave it on, and it might be pseudo or something, but I know that people do say it helps. So I think it just gets like so dark, and now that daylight savings has
Oh
happened,
my God, I hate it so much.
I'm glad I got to sleep in today, but God, I just know like it's probably dark outside. I can't see outside right now, but I can like guarantee that the sun has already gone down and
It's
and
2 o'clock here and it feels like 4. Like it's already like dusk outside.
right, yeah, the sun's like setting. And you're like, okay, that's cool. I really liked Austin for the warm and the sunshine, but I mean, I also had some really, really dark times in Austin. That's why my parents moved me home. They were basically like, you need to come home now because you are not well. I had some very bad breakdowns. I've called the suicide hotlines a couple times, and
This was when you were with that guy, right?
um, this was actually when I was in Austin. So this was when I was dating, we'll say my coworker, and you know him.
Okay. Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I don't want to use names or anything, but
Yeah,
shout out to you if you're out there.
yeah.
Yeah, and he was again I found myself again in a very emotionally abusive state, and I wasn't well, and I feel like I was taken advantage of, and I hurt myself a lot. I hurt myself a lot because of how bad I felt about myself, and I burned myself and cut myself and beat myself, since I was 13.
Hmm.
And then last year, actually, probably around this time, I got a tattoo on my arm. It's a dagger. And so I'm basically saying, like, laying down my knife. So I'm not allowed to hurt myself anymore.
I love that.
And I actually haven't. I haven't.
Oh my
So
God, I'm so
my
proud of
dagger is
you.
resting on my arm. So thanks. Yeah. So there have been times, but there's like tricks where you can like clench your fists really hard or, you hold ice cubes. So it's these things that can stimulate pain because pain has become a coping mechanism for me, a way to deflect from what I'm thinking, and I can focus on like a physical feeling and it's also just to punish myself for feeling anything at all. I know that was a big part of it. I'd get so mad at myself for being so upset. So I took it out on myself.
Yeah,
And
I haven't really talked with anyone yet on the podcast about self-harm and like why we do it and what it
yeah,
serves.
for me, I think it's different for everybody what they get out of it. But for me, it was not only a way to distract myself from what I was feeling. And I mean, I always hid it. It wasn't like one of those things. And when people say, "Oh, they're doing it for attention,"
Oh, that's
then
bullshit.
okay. If they're doing it for attention, then that means they're really struggling and they
Mm-hmm.
need help. You know what I mean? Like people aren't
Yes.
doing it because they're like, "Oh, I'm so fake sad." No, that is a big cry for help. So yeah, if you see somebody with that and the first thought is they're asking for attention, they are, and that's a big cry for help.
What would you recommend people do if they see someone with obvious self-harm scars, like in public?
So for me, I never really listened to anybody else about it. It was always something like I almost felt like I couldn't control. So, what the best thing to do is to get somebody who that person can talk to, whether it's like getting them to a therapist or a doctor or a friend maybe that they feel comfortable confiding in, because I wouldn't have listened to anyone when it came to hurting myself, but being able to talk out the other issues then removed that need to, because I found new ways of coping. But there's a group called NAMI.
Oh
It's
yeah.
NAMI. They are all across the country. And when I was in Austin, I went to their group therapy sessions. I never thought I would like group therapy. I was like, that's really dumb. I don't want to do it, like, whatever. And I found it to be like one of the most healing experiences I've ever been. You can share or you can go and listen, you can offer advice. It was just a great little community that I went to. And that was a big pain in my heart to leave Austin, was to leave these people, because that sort of relationship that you build in group therapy, you just can't replicate anywhere else, because that's what you're there for, is to share your pain. And that is something that is very, puts you in a very vulnerable state, but everybody's there for the same reason. And, there are rules there too. So it's, organized. So it's not just like a free for all. And they're good people. So NAMI is the organization. They have them all meetings all over. Um,
And what
they're
is
incredible. They have different ones for family members of people with mental disorders, like addiction help. I believe they have one especially for addiction. They have like these seminars you can go to too that are like last longer, or you can just go to like the weekly meetups. So
and it's free, right?
that is something. It's free, totally.
And what
Yep.
and that's NAMI, NAMI. What does that stand for?
Um,
I think it's like National
you know,
Alliance for Mental Illness.
yeah, mental illness or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're great.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed though, because the only one in here near me is like 40 minutes away, and
Oh.
there's just no way I would make it. So I've definitely missed that a lot, and I definitely think about those people all the time, hoping that they're doing better and that they just are still going, because I think that's so important. It just talking about it, writing it down, a journal, it like sounds silly. I thought so too, but you can't keep it inside, because your mind plays tricks on you, and your mind will warp things. At least mine does. Mine will
Yeah.
completely spew these terrible things, and it's something to note that like you can't always control it. Your these thoughts and stuff. I'm always curious to know, like, people who are just like positive people who
Mm-hmm.
can like tell themselves that. I don't have that self-talk yet, but I'm working on it and I'm doing a lot better.
And journaling helps you with
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, it does, because like writing it down and seeing, just not even seeing it, because I don't read it again, hardly ever. Sometimes I'll go back and read stuff, so I'm just curious at where I was in my life, but you just get it out of your mind. So then it's like, okay. And then you don't have to tell anybody. You don't
Yeah.
have to tell anyone, because you feel silly or embarrassed, or you're like, God, I feel like all I do is talk about this, whatever, just like write it down and get it out of your mind. And I mean, you'll still process it and think about it, but it helps. And I think it's been proven scientifically that that helps. And
Yeah.
so I think that's a really easy, cheap thing to do if you just like, especially for me and my anxiety and my paranoia, I can't calm down my mind sometimes, no matter how much I do these other exercises that I've been taught. And so sometimes you just have to get it out, because I'll just start spiraling out of
Yeah.
control. And as soon as I write it down, it's sort of like, okay, you've made it known that you feel this way.
And that's the
Let's keep
thing.
going.
Like, you can only keep something inside for so long before it comes out. Like, that's what happened with you for years. And then, it comes out in the form of, self-injury, addiction, depression. I mean, one of the big themes I'm seeing with you is vulnerability. That seems to be something you struggle with, but it also seems to be the thing that really helps you.
Yeah, that's definitely a struggle of mine. I mean, I think that goes back to, from when I was younger, like having to stay strong. I felt that I wasn't allowed to be sick ever. So showing people being vulnerable, I mean, it's the meaning of it. You're vulnerable. And I never felt strong enough to stand up for myself. So, letting people in, and I never really had a relationship until after I got out of the hospital. So I met my first boyfriend after I got out of the hospital, and that was the first relationship I'd ever had,
Are
a
you? Oh,
long-term
I
relationship.
didn't know that.
Yeah, so I had dated and stuff, but my first long-term relationship, serious relationship, was after I got out of the hospital, because I think I finally learned, or was being helped, and know that I had these tools so that I would be okay. And he was a great guy. Yeah, so we moved down to Austin together, but he was also struggling with mental illness, and it was okay. We worked really well for so long, and we helped each other, but then it just became, I felt like I couldn't take care of both of us, and I felt like it was becoming more one-sided. But as far as I know, he's doing really well right now, and I'm really happy for him. So hopefully he's still out there and he's doing really well, because I actually know that I inspired him to go to a therapist, because we met up about a year after we broke up. We saw each other again and we're talking, and he'd been going to therapy and he started medicine. And so I'm really, really happy, as he said, that I inspired him to do that. And I hope that
Aw.
I can inspire anybody else. Just if you're not ready to get medicine, that's fine. Just go talk to somebody. Group therapy is a good way. That really, I'm like very serious about that, especially since there's a lot of free options,
Mm-hmm.
because you can go and you don't have to talk. So you can just listen. And when other people are vulnerable and open about their things around them, it's nice to commiserate.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
sometimes you feel like you hear things that people tell other people, and it clicks with you, because sometimes you can hear the same thing over and over and it doesn't make sense until someone puts it in a certain way, like a certain analogy just makes sense to you. So I think group therapy really helped me open up, because it wasn't just like me talking to a therapist thinking like, do they think I'm crazy? Like, what are their other patients like?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what I thought. I really did. And I was like, how much am I allowed to tell them? But like when you're in group therapy, you can say as much as you want, and then you can hear what other people are saying. So then you can feel like you can say more, or you can pass and you can just listen and just absorb. And I think that really helped me. And I
Yeah.
found myself giving people advice too, thinking like, wow, I wouldn't think that I would know, but I'm like, I actually have advice for you. And then helping other people, it's a great feeling. And obviously, like I didn't go there to help other people out, but it's like this symbiotic relationship. You end
For
up
sure. The most
people,
supportive people I know are extremely mentally ill themselves.
right,
Right.
exactly. And it's really, people don't get it unless they know it. It's really, people can be empathetic for sure and sympathetic, but sometimes it really, really just takes someone who's been like, yeah, I've seen down the barrel of the gun. I know what that's like. I think it would be the same thing with people, let's say, who have cancer, and only somebody else with cancer who's had that news and heard that can really understand what that's like. The rest of us can, we sympathize, we empathize, we do whatever we can to help. We would read books and all that. For the most part, obviously no one knows exactly what you're going through because everybody's situation is completely different.
Everyone has something in common, even if your situation is completely different, you're going to have something in common. And the only way to figure that out is by being vulnerable and talking about it. And I mean, group therapy is a great way to start that.
Exactly.
I'm going to put a link in the description for NAMI.
If you have insurance, definitely call and ask them who's in your network. My insurance company, this new one I have, is really good, and they actually help. They help me a lot. They're very sympathetic. Pretty sure I called them crying because I still couldn't find a psychiatrist, and the lady was so nice to me, and she was just very helpful and very understanding. This like poor insurance helpline woman, but definitely if you have insurance, contact them. But yeah, NAMI is a great free resource.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I found my therapist, was just calling up my insurance. And I put it off for so long because I was scared that I would be bothering them or...
Yeah, same. But like, I love procrastinating.
Literally, it's literally their job. They want to help you. And if they don't, then they suck at their job.
Yeah, no, they really are. That's what they're there for. They want to see you get your help and your doctor, and like that's why you get insurance, is so that you can get the treatment that you need. So yeah, if you have insurance, definitely call. Otherwise, NAMI really is the only organization I think I've worked with. The NAAA, those kinds of things, I know that a lot of people swear by them, and it doesn't hurt to just go to a meeting. So if you're struggling with some sort of addiction, just to go and just see how the meetings work. Some people say they don't work, but you never know. And it's just that sense of community that you can find anywhere is really, I think, is, like I just basically had to stop being so proud. I think my pride was getting in the way of my vulnerability, because it was like, that's not me. I'm not sick. I'm just a failure. Like, I could do better. I can be better. Yeah. Everyone else is fine. And then you find out, hey, no, everybody else is faking it too. Wow, we're all doing a very good job.
Yeah, it's so true. No one wants to admit it, but we're all just fucked up, and that's okay.
Yep.
I'm really
My dad used to say that all the time.
Yeah?
He still does. He'll be like, everybody's family is fucked up, Kelly. Everybody. It's like...
It's so true.
He's like, not just ours. Everybody's family is fucked up. I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. He always says, too, that if everybody put all of their problems into a pile, you would take yours back and no one else's, because everybody's going through stuff and you really don't want anybody else's issues, Yeah. So I always thought that was kind of interesting, because you think, oh, this person has it so much easier, but like, do they really? Everybody's going through something.
Yeah, for sure. I've always appreciated about you that you are very candid and honest about this kind of thing. I mean,
a couple years after I got out of the hospital, I started talking about it and kind of becoming an advocate for it, because I became so passionate about it, and I didn't want to see other people go through what I went through, because as I found resources and help, I wanted other people to as well, because you don't have to live like that.
And I want to remind the listeners that, if you're out there and you are struggling with this, like, there are options for you. There's the group therapy. If you don't have insurance, you can email a friend. There's hotlines. Like, Kelly, you mentioned you called the hotlines when you were in Austin. I've heard people say good things about them. What was your experience like?
It was good. Yeah, it was. I had another one of those feelings like, I can't do this anymore. And I just thought, like, I've always seen the numbers and stuff for them, so I just thought, what the hell? I'll give it a shot. Like, I'm not totally ready to go, but what it would always come down to for me was just like, I can't do this anymore. I'm just in so much pain. I don't know what to do. Those next couple of times when I called the suicide hotline, it wasn't necessarily that I wanted to die. I mean, I have felt that before. I mean, that I have felt that like I'm done. I don't want to live anymore. But these other times that I called them, it was just like, I don't know what to do. Suicide was always my plan B. For a long time, I just figured I would take my own life. That was just my plan. It didn't even become like a specific plan even after like I got out of the hospital. It wasn't like I didn't have like that specific plan anymore, but it was just always like, yeah, honestly, like if this just gets too much again, I'm just gonna kill myself. That's what it was. I'm like, I'm so tired. I don't have the energy to fight anymore. I just, you hit those walls and it's just, you just fall. And sometimes it's so random. Sometimes there's a stigma, and that's for sure, because like people can get depressed after,
Mm-hmm.
losing a loved one or something. But the kind of depression that I deal with, there's no stimulus. I just wake up and I just can't move. And that's the hardest part, is because it felt like if you have a trigger, then you know what to work on. But a lot of times I don't have a trigger and I don't know what it is. And that's really stressful.
Yeah, like
I'll
your
just
life
start getting
can
really anxious.
your life can be great on paper and you can still be depressed and you're like, what's wrong with me? Like, I have no right to feel this
Right,
way.
right. Like this just same thing between like anxiety and nervousness. Like you can be nervous before a presentation and that can give you like debilitating anxiety. Like that is, but then that has a cause. Anxiety, just all of a sudden, I'll just be like shaking and trying to figure out. And sometimes it's like, oh my God, I have so much to do, whatever. And then sometimes I'm just like, I don't understand why I'm so anxious. I just like get these snowball ideas in my mind. And that's where like the journaling comes into, because it's like, okay, just like write it out. I make lots of lists of things that I need to do. When I'll write, I don't write in a journal every day though. It's not like I don't do that. It's just when I really have something strong on my mind, I'll just write it out, and you kind of like, you see it, you can kind of hear it in your head. It just like, it calms me down. So that's why I like doing that. Sometimes there really isn't, or you can't figure out what the stimulus is. There just isn't. There's just so much stuff going on. This last depressive episode that I had, I just didn't understand where it came from. I should have been happy. I knew that I had been doing really well with my friends and family, and I just felt exhausted and I just felt awful. I was like, I don't understand why I feel this way. It sucks.
Yeah, it's like, am I gonna deal with this in waves forever? Like, is that just my fate?
Yeah. For me, even when I hit these depressive episodes, I rebound faster than I used to, because I have more tools now and I have this medicine that helps. But I am starting new medicine regimens, and so that also could be a reason why my mood is fluctuating, because when you're switching your dosages, it can really, really fuck with you.
Being on the wrong medication for so many years, I can't
But it's
imagine.
okay, because I feel like now I finally have a good answer, and the fact that I'm down on my medicine, that's a good feeling too. I've just been overprescribed, and so they give you medicine to treat the symptoms of another medicine rather than trying to like cut back and then find a different option. It was always just adding on for me.
Oh, it's just a
And
nightmare.
yeah, and it takes a toll on your body too, a really big toll, to try and get on and off of stuff so often, different dosages. Your mind just, I mean, these are all brain chemicals that you're getting,
Yeah,
and that fucks with your body. I mean, the same way that physical illnesses can fuck with your brain,
yeah.
it's all connected.
I'm glad that you have a psychiatrist
Yeah.
now that you're working with. Like, that makes me
Good
happy for
times.
you. And I mean, this sounds cheesy, but life is
Thanks.
just bettering yourself until you die. Like, you're never going to reach your peak form, you know? Like, I don't believe in perfection. I don't believe in, like, being quote unquote happy.
Right. I do believe that they're enlightened human individuals. Like, I do think that's real, but I don't know if that's like something that everyone can achieve, or if that's like special human beings who are enlightened.
I mean,
you
but
know?
even those enlightened people deal with shit.
Right,
You know?
exactly. So it's not just like everybody's still dealing with, yeah, exactly. You're right.
I mean, I don't know what the message is. This is beginning to sound depressing.
I know. No, but like you said, you find the things in life that can make you happy and get you through because the truth is that shit is never going to stop.
Yeah.
It isn't. And so you have to find the ways that you can get through them because you have to get through them. That's just like I was saying before, I just like couldn't live like that anymore. And there is
Yeah.
potential to get better. It
Like,
seemed so hard and so unrealistic from where I was at. Yeah.
I think
I know.
once you decide to be alive and to pursue help, you know, like you accept that shit's gonna happen, but you are in this world and you know, you have to play a part in your own recovery because no one else is going to, you know.
Right. I'm kind of, I'm 28 and I'm like, wow, I'm almost 30. And for me, it's less of like, oh my God, I'm getting so old. It's like, wow, I can't believe I made it past 25. Like, I didn't
Yeah.
see this happening. I honestly didn't. There
Yeah.
was just so many points in my life where I was like, I just thought, yeah, if it gets like this again, like I'm just done. You just get to this point where it's like, I don't want to do this next time.
You
You're
just
like,
can't think of
fine,
next time. You just have to take it one day at a
right,
time, you know?
exactly. And the thing is that when you're hitting that spot, you use your training and you think, okay, I'm really sad. It's not even sad, it's like pure devastation. But what you do is you go and you get help so then the next time that it happens, it's not as bad because you have these tools and these resources and you have these connections to help you through it because truth is it's going to come again, but it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to be as bad or last as long. I mean, it's just a chemical makeup and that's okay. Everybody's struggling with something, so you have to figure out your plan and figure out how you're gonna live with it because you have to. You have to.
Gotta strategize.
Yeah. Find things. I mean, I know I felt ridiculous calling the suicide helpline. I was like, this is so dumb, but it really helped. The person on the other end was like very caring and it felt very genuine because I was always like, oh, this is gonna be so stupid. Like this person's like, they're volunteers. Like, what do they know? They're gonna read from a script, but it wasn't like that at all. They were very genuine humans. I mean, a lot of people have gone through things and that's why they're there to support, or they know they have loved ones who are there and they need to support. They're not there to like get their volunteer hours. They're there because they don't want to see something like the pain that they've known in one way or the other.
Yeah, they want to be there.
Yeah.
They want to help you. So,
We need more psychiatrists in the world. So if you're listening, go to school to be a psychiatrist. You'll make good money. You'll make good money, and there's a shortage of them, and we need them. So
yeah, this is the
I'm like,
sign
maybe
that
if
you
I go
need.
back to school, if I had any money to go back to school, I would go to be a psychiatrist. But currently swimming in debt, and
Oh, God. Yeah, I feel you on that.
I know I'm saving up, and I'm trying not to let it weigh me down because I'm starting to pay off my debt, which I had deferred for a long time.
hmm
So I'm doing adult things now. It's pretty
It's so
exciting.
scary.
Oh, I know, I hate
It's
it.
like you said, like we didn't think we would get to this point, and so now that we're here, we're like, this is not how I imagined it. This is why am I still struggling? But there's some comfort
Yeah,
in
my thought
knowing
was
that everyone is going through that. Like you can even laugh about it.
right. It's just I never planned for the future because I never thought there would be one. And like I still try and live day by day, but I do put a little more effort into the future because I see a future now. Whereas before it was like, I don't need to save money. Like I'm
Yeah,
not going to be here in 5 years, you know? Like I want to live while I'm alive. And I still live by that because, things happen, but
yeah,
not in the same notion that I used to. I still live with the idea that I want to have a life and I want to enjoy things because I'm not going to be like strapped to a desk and be miserable my whole life. But now I have this sense of purpose and knowing that there's years to come. So you still need to live your life, but I just have to plan a little for the future too, which is what I'm doing. And it's being an adult, I guess, and it sucks. But
But I mean, it
at the
takes.
same time, it's like I have ideas for the future, which I never did before. So
That's amazing. It's scary, but it's worth it.
it's kind of nice. Obviously, just recently I had a pretty bad downfall, so it happens, but I have my sad music playlist and listening to same songs on repeat until, like my friend advised, he's like, go outside, get in the sun. And so I did. I went on a walk with my dog and she loved it. And it's like, it was just what I needed. I just needed, but it's so hard to pull yourself out of bed. But you get out and you do it and you just think, okay, now I can go back to bed because
Yeah.
you did something, you
Yes.
know?
Like if
Oh,
you if
also make your bed every morning.
Oh my
That's what I
God, I
do.
totally agree. I make my bed every morning and it really does help. Like I swear by it.
I make my bed every morning because if nothing else, you've at least done
Yeah, make your bed, like brush your
one thing.
teeth. Brushing your teeth just
Yeah.
makes me feel like a whole new human.
Yeah, exactly. Because the last week or so, I stopped making my bed. I was just like, and it's like it was a big, clear sign to me that I was depressed. Like I just
Mhm.
didn't care to do it. And so my room is trashed right now. I just started cleaning it today because I'm feeling better. I've also been kind of busy, but
Yeah.
I notice those things, and that's another important thing too, is when you notice that you're depressed, you should try and, or manic, people who are manic too, you start to learn your warning signs.
Mm.
So then you can like take your plan into effect. Because, yeah, I know. So I knew that I was not making my bed anymore and not putting things away and not doing my laundry. And like those are all signs. Those are all like clear signs. And so I just like took a day to myself and laid in bed and did nothing and slept and just kind of gave myself time to just be sad because sometimes you just can't push through it. That's okay too. Give
It's
yourself a day to be sick. Take a sick day.
Yeah, I was gonna
That
say like it's hard because you can't you have to find the balance because if you take too much time, you run the risk of like
right,
wallowing.
right. That's true.
I love that idea though of just taking a sick day and just being sad.
Right. Which I find very helpful because I feel like a lot of times there's a misconception of like all this help that you're getting, like you think like, oh, it's all foolproof. I'm not going to be sad anymore. And then like you try these things and they just don't work. And then you're feeling like you're giving up because you're like, these things aren't working anymore. But like you do have to let yourself be sick too. It's the same thing if you had a cold. Like
Mm-hmm.
you take a day to be sick. Don't give yourself too much time, like you said, like no more than a day. Just take a day just to like give yourself a break and be sad because trying to push it away and like working really hard is going to stress you out. Just like, yeah, lay in bed, watch sad movies, sleep,
Uh,
listen to sad music, play games, whatever it is. Like, don't try and, for like one day, don't try and make yourself feel better. That's okay.
I love that so much because that's so hard for me to do. I try
Right.
to push through it every time, but I'm totally gonna take
Yeah.
your advice next time I feel that way.
Good. Yeah. Like you were saying at the beginning, like you made up an excuse for your friends to not go out. But I mean, I think being honest, I think I've done that before too, or made up excuses. But, sometimes you're like, I'm really sorry. I'm just not feeling good. And that you can just leave it at that.
Yeah, you
And
don't owe anyone an explanation.
yeah, and I've had to bail on people before because I'm too anxious. Like, I'm like, I don't understand why. I just cannot go out in public right now. And sometimes it's sadness and sometimes it's anxiety or whatever. And you just tell people, I'm sorry, I'm sick. And good. Because sometimes being in public takes a lot of energy for me.
Oh, totally.
I'm not really an introvert because I'm very social, but I also need my time to myself. And sometimes if I'm out with people too many days in a row and I don't get time to myself, I'll start to break down. So that's why I think those like sick/sad days are good because I mean, like I need a day just for me.
For
I'm not
sure.
I'm not one of those people who likes to be out all the time. That's why I like people who like to stay in and watch TV because then you can just kind of like you don't have to be so going and going and going because when you're sad, and you're doing all that stuff and like you were saying, you try and push through it, that's exhausting.
Yeah. You're just setting yourself up for more failure.
Right, because then you're just going to wear yourself out and you're not going to give yourself time to rest because you're
Yeah.
like, I can do this, I'm fine. And that's what I did for so much of my childhood. It's okay to be sad. Like, it's okay. And it's okay to be depressed
Mm-hmm.
because that's a reality. And it's okay to be manic or anxious. Give yourself time to feel it because you are feeling it. So feel it and let it go. And different things work for different people. And like for me, I'm not sure if the one-on-one therapy is right for me. So, I'm saying I might need a therapist, but maybe I need to find group therapy,
Yeah, I
like
mean, it seems like it worked for you in the past.
exactly. So, that's why I say like go talk to a therapist. If you're like, fuck this, don't go to a therapist anymore. That's
Yeah.
fine. But then you did it. So then you're not just like, what if,
Yeah. Try out as much as you can, which it can be hard when you're depressed because you don't have any
Oh,
energy.
oh my God, it's so hard. It's so hard. But you have to try.
Yeah. Just go through the
That's,
motions if
yep,
that's what it takes.
yep. It's like what they say, like smiling. If you like smile enough, your mind believes that you're happy or something. I think that's stupid and I don't do it. But
I tried it once and I just felt really creepy.
it's same, yeah. I'm like, what is this fake smile? Like, I don't like it.
Fake it till you make it.
Right. But that is sort of true. So it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be like as ridiculous, like smiling yourself in the mirror and feeling like a total weirdo, but like going outside, taking a walk, be sad, watch a TV show, whatever it is. Like,
Yeah.
you just have to do something. I had a really, really bad day back in the summer, and that was another pretty bad episode. And they only last a couple days, but I was struggling, and I was talking to my friend, and he was saying, like, did anything go right today? Like, let's talk about it. And I was like, no, I made my bed. That was the only thing I feel good about today.
Well, that's
And he was like,
something.
yeah, and that's what he said. He was like, and you made your bed. And I was like, and now I'm going to move on to tomorrow. But I did something. The day sucked, and that's just how it's going to go. And I pushed through it, and I got home to a nice, clean, and made bed, and perfect for sleeping. And that's all I wanted to do. So, also create a very good sleeping space for yourself. Sleep is so
Oh my
important.
God. Yes, I totally agree.
And like, I know you're not supposed to like work in your bed or watch TV in your bed and stuff. And like, I understand that like winds you up a little bit when you should be winding down. But like, if that's what's comfortable for you,
Yeah, do
just
it.
create a space that's comfortable for you. If you need certain smells, if whatever, like good sleep is so important. Like depression sleep, I feel like doesn't count.
Oh
So like
man,
you
yeah.
need drink tea or I take CBD oil,
I was
which
literally just about to say I tried some last night
did
and
you like it?
oh my God, it was the first night in I don't know how long that I've been able to go to sleep without taking my sleep. I take trazodone to fall asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And the level of sleep was so much better, like the quality of sleep. I
Yeah.
felt so amazing, and I slept like longer than I usually do. I slept like 9 hours, and I felt amazing.
Yeah.
So I would
I take
highly
it for
recommend
my
it.
anxiety because my anxiety medicine knocks me out. It makes me so tired because it's like either you can be anxious or you can be half asleep. So,
Yeah, and I feel
uh,
like a lot of these psych meds, unfortunately, do have that side effect.
yeah, like if I feel like it's either you're anxious or you're sedated. And so the
Yeah,
CBD oil, I don't know if it's legal everywhere, but
it's getting there.
yeah, because it doesn't have the same side effects. There's no THC, so there's no mental distortion. All it does is just like it calms your body. And when you calm your body, because I was on a medicine that was for fibromyalgia, and what that did was it like relaxed my nerves. So then my anxiety went down. That had a lot of side effects, so I stopped taking it.
Yeah, it sounds really intense.
Yeah, this was from the same doctor who put me on all those weird medicines. I think she just had like this experimental plan that she wanted to put me on, but
Jesus.
yeah. But my doctor now, she seems very level-headed and is like, let's just try these things and let's start slow. Like, so I really like her. And also, like I find a lot of comfort in female doctors. And
Mm.
so I don't know if that's something people think about, but I definitely like I go to an all-female run dentist office And that's just really important to me. So that's just something to think about, if like comfort levels and things like that and who you trust. And some people it doesn't matter, but I just don't think I could go to like a male therapist or psychiatrist. And I mean, hey, pussy power anyways. Like that's females in the industry, but
Yeah.
that's just another thing to think of too. And not that I want to like emphasize gender, because I know there's so much gender fluidity and stuff, but for me, that was really important.
But just know what you're comfortable with and don't feel ashamed to speak up about what you
Right.
need.
Because they will ask you. I mean, I've been asked several times, they're like, do you prefer a male or female doctor? And like, you can say, you can speak up. That is something that you can be.
You have the right.
Yeah, I'm totally a social justice warrior and stuff, but just you have to be comfortable, because if you're going to get better, it's like you were saying, you have to be vulnerable and you have to be available and comfortable to accept the help, because otherwise it's going to be half-assed. And
Yeah.
you know what? That's a great way to start, because at least you're doing it half-assed, but
Half-ass is better than no ass.
exactly. But it's not sustainable. So
Yeah.
if you have to start somewhere, start anywhere. And that's the hardest part. And that's what they always say, whatever. But, get up, walk your dog, make breakfast, go back to bed.
Yes. I'm really proud of you and your journey. I hate that
Thank
word,
you.
but it's so true. Like, life is a journey. And
Yeah.
I love that you've become this advocate for all this stuff that you've struggled with for so long. And like, you are someone that I feel like people can talk to, and that's so important.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm extremely empathetic, and that's good and bad. I see the good in people, and sometimes it gets me in trouble because I give people second chances and things like that. But I just, coming from where I've come from and struggling, nobody deserves to be alone, That's
For
just
sure.
something. And the thing is, it's even if they don't have the family that's supportive or something, that's when you have to go out and build your own family. And that's hard, but that's where those group therapies can really come in, because that isolation is killer.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you do when you're depressed. You're in isolation mode. Like, you can be surrounded by the best support system in the world, but you won't take advantage of it because you're depressed, and that's how depression works. So sometimes, like, it's like we were saying, just going through the motions. If that's all you can do, that's fine.
Then just do it until it becomes a thing. Yeah, just do it. And if you're...
Just do it!
Yeah, just do it!
Oh my God.
I just watched an interview with him, actually, with Shia LaBeouf, and he is actually very interesting and very smart. And I just think that I'm fascinated by him.
What did you find out?
Well, so like that Just Do It thing, that was like a project to be made into memes. Like, he wasn't just going on like a psycho rant. Like, he was creating it for that purpose. But like, everybody just thought that he was just like going nuts.
Uh-huh.
And so he just seems like a very true artist to me. So he's very strange, but he has like a different outlook on life, But he's very smart. And he just put out a movie, Peanut Butter Falcon. I recommend that to everyone.
Peanut Butter Falcon?
It's called Peanut Butter Falcon. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a Tom Sawyer kind of, Huckleberry Finn kind of adventure movie.
Like coming of age,
brotherhood, movie about like two runaways, and it's beautiful. The soundtrack's amazing, the scenery is great, and the story is so compelling. And then he wrote a new movie that's coming out, or directed it, I think it's called Honey Boy, and it's loosely based on his life as a child actor. So that I'm really interested to see as well, because his projects are very well done. He's a really good actor, and I think people just have this idea that he's crazy.
Yeah, it's hard to overcome that stereotype when you have like a certain niche in Hollywood. It's hard to break out of it, but it seems like he's doing it.
Yeah, and so the interview I watched was on Hot Ones. It's like this show on YouTube where they eat wings increasing in the Scoville level, and they ask interview questions. So it's hysterical. The show is great. The interviewer is great. And so I recommend watching that if anybody wants to, because and my mouth just started watering like talking about it. Like
now our listeners have a movie they can watch in bed when they take their sick day.
Yes. Peanut Butter Falcon. It was very powerful. It was like one of the movies at the very end. You just kind of like sat and processed, and I liked that a lot.
Well, shit. Now I want to watch it tonight.
Yeah. I mean, I recommend it. Yeah.
Well, so is there anything else you wanted to add before I let you go?
It's been really great. And this is actually very therapeutic for me as well, because I get to talk about things again. And there's really no way to explain how much talking about what's going on, how much that can help. So that would be my advice to anyone, is whatever way that you can, find someone or something to talk to, because you just have to get it out of your head. So just talk to someone, write it out, and remember, boys and girls, it's okay to be sad.
Yay.
But take your sick days. It's okay. It's okay to take a sick day, be sad, and watch Peanut Butter Falcon, and it'll make you feel better. Make your bed, make scrambled eggs, and then go back to bed. And then the next day, put your game face on.
Doctor's orders, folks.
Doctor's orders. Dr. Kelly has spoken.
Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate the time that you took out of your day.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I know we've been talking about this for like years.
I know. It was so good to talk to you.
Thank you so much for letting me vent, I guess. I feel like.
Of course. Thank you for venting. I loved every moment of it.
I'm really happy for you too. I hope that you're also doing well. You seem like you're doing really well. I'm really happy for you in your new job. That's awesome.
Yeah, one day at a time, things just get, it's like, I was talking to a friend, like things seem really bad, and then by the time they're better, you don't really realize they are until you look up and you're like, oh, how did I get through that? Like, things are pretty good now. And that's how I feel right now. I don't really know how I got here, but, I'm not complaining.
Right, exactly. And that's the hardest part, is because it's time. It takes time. And yeah, you're right. One day you kind of realize, you're like, wow, I'm actually feeling pretty good. Because somebody will just be like, how you feeling? You're like, you know what? I'm actually doing pretty well. Yeah.
Just hold on to that feeling for when you don't feel like that.
Right. Yeah. Just know that it'll come back. It'll be there.
All right, girl. I'm going to let you go.
All right.
But have a great rest of your night.
Thank you. You too. I'll talk to you soon. Yeah.
All right. Bye.
Bye.